range of services and a free consultation, call us on 01733 555 774 or visit our office at 249 Lincoln Road opposite the NatWest Bank. Accident Specialists. Start your successful claim today.
दोस्ता कियां परेशान है
जरा कर है ना सारा सौदा मुक्या वा मुल्का विच पैसे भेजने
हूं नहीं अमार फूड वाले की फोन खड़का ते फ्री लोकल डिलीवरी कार मंगवा
आलाता उथे कै स्पेशल आ
उना की लबाई हाइजीन च ग्रेड 5 चीजें चंगियां मियारी ते सस्तियां ते नाले ऑफर ही ऑफर
और क्या
ताजा गोश्त ताजी सब्जियां ते फ्रूट आटा चावल दालां मसाले ते जूस सारे बिल जमा करने गैस ते इलेक्ट्रिक नो टॉप अप भी करने पाकिस्तान पैसे बिल्कुल फ्री भेजने मतलब के एक चिड़ी ने दूध छड़ी ते हर शय लबनी
उठ जने ने आप उतरा
Amar Food Store and Halal Meat 613B Lincoln Road Peterborough telephone 01733 687374.
Tired of going to the butchers for your halal meat? Haji Baba is now open in Asda. We've been in Asda for over 10 years with over 45 counters nationwide. Come to us for better packaging, variety and great quality. Chicken breast, cubes or mince, only $3.99 a kilo. Lamb or sheep leg, shoulder or mixed, for only $6.99 a kilo. Baby chickens, only $1.99. All your halal meat and grocery needs under one roof. Haji Baba Halal Meat. Find us in Asda.
Feel like some great tasting chicken tonight? Great meal deals, wraps, burgers and sides. We've got it all at Chicken Palace. Call and collect at 302 Lincoln Road on 01733 702 447 or 8 Park Road on 01733 343750. Chicken Palace, open 11am till late.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته وبسم الله قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم طوبى لمن وجد في صحيفته استغفارا كثيرا that glad tidings are for the one who finds in his book of deeds a great amount of istighfar.
Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam said,
This is Salam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. You are listening to Salam Radio 106.2 FM and your current current show, Current Affairs show, Let's Talk, with me, Akeel Khalil, and my co-host Amir Suleiman.
Assalamu alaikum.
We are also live on Inspire FM in Luton. You can listen to us online at salamradio.co.uk or watch the show live on our streaming services. Search for Salam Radio on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. If you prefer mobile, please download and use our Salam Radio app from the App Store or Google Play. Salam Radio is always on air, 24/7, 365, uniting all communities. Please get involved with your opinions by calling us on 01733 602 133, or you can text WhatsApp on 07745 278 978. Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I had to think what to say then. Caught me off guard. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, very well. It's been a long time since we've done this show.
It's been literally months.
It has literally been months.
And we're back.
We are back, and hopefully we'll be back on a monthly basis as well.
Inshallah.
It's been a lot of things have been happening around the world since we've last sat across the table with each other.
Yeah, well, I didn't think things would stop happening just because the show wasn't happening.
I mean, it was difficult.
To be fair.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm just being awkward.
Thanks. Okay, I mean, it was. We had to really think about some of the topics we wanted to discuss. It has, like, as you mentioned, been a few months since we've done the show.
Yeah.
It would have been easy to do things like Brexit and so on, but I felt, we kind of needed a little break from a story like that.
I think people are tired of it.
Yeah, I think mentally exhausted from that as well. So we decided to go for something which is quite pertinent this week and has been for the last month or so, which is the terror threat in the UK, and certainly what's happened over the last month or so. So following the recent terror attack, ministers are aiming to pass emergency legislation to block the automatic early release of convicted terror offenders before the next one is due to be freed on the 28th of February. This is in light of what's happened over the last few months.
Yeah.
And certainly recently with somebody being freed from prison and 10 days later attacking somebody in Streatham.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, it was quite shocking to see as well. But just to give our listeners some background, this is 3 successive attacks by 3 convicted terrorists in less than 3 months that have propelled the issue of extremism in our prisons to the forefront of the law and order debate. Robert Buckland, the Justice Secretary, announced emergency legislation this week aimed at keeping terrorists in prison for longer periods. Now, Downing Street Spin Machine has been busily briefing about the tougher measures and stressing that its new proposals must be passed urgently to stop further release of dangerous fanatics.
Yeah.
But surely they're trying to catch the horse after it's bolted here.
That's the initial reaction I had to this.
Okay.
You can understand the reaction to some extent because you had, essentially 3 attacks if you include the Whitemore prison attack as well. That's essentially 3 terrorist attacks in a short space of time. So you can understand them thinking, what can we do to, alleviate this problem? But the initial question, it begs the question, surely, is what are the police and intelligence services doing? Surely, if you're a convicted terrorist, the first place you're going to look and use your resources is on those that have been convicted of terrorism and are due for release.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, and who was it that said, I think it said it in the news recently, he said that we can't be all eyes everywhere.
It was Neil Basu, wasn't
Neil
it?
Basu,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, he said that, which is a bit of a flippant comment. And then we know you can't be everywhere at once and there's limited resources and budget cuts, etc. But surely if you're going to focus on prioritising where your intelligence services need to be looking, is it surely not obvious to be looking at those types of individuals?
Yeah, I agree with you. And certainly, I mean, the reason why I said what I said before actually was just because, successive ministers have waited until bloodshed has taken place.
Yeah.
Whether, like you mentioned, inside prison or whether on the streets before they've come out and made this statement, look, we're going to be tougher on crime. When, you've got Priti Patel and Sajid Javid, the predecessor.
Yes.
He was the Home Secretary talking about being tougher on crime. I mean, you only have to look at the case of Shamima Begum.
Yeah.
When he has as essentially made her stateless.
Yes.
Okay, and obviously she was again in the news today, but now Priti Patel has come in again. She's talking about being tough on crime, being seen to be tough on crime. Boris Johnson, when he was running for election, was talking about being tough on crime. So this is why they've been making these speeches in the Commons and outside about being tough on crime. My issue here is this has been going on for a long time. These people are in prison. So essentially what we're talking about here is the lengthening of the sentences for the people who are already convicted really going to make us safer? Or is the time that they should be? So at the moment, people are, I mean, you can explain it to me, but, if you get a sentence over 4 years.
Yeah, so it's early release you're talking about.
Early release,
isn't
that's
it? So offenders essentially are told they're being sentenced for a fixed period and will be automatically released at the halfway point to serve the remainder of their sentence on licence in the community. Now, some offenders will have pleaded guilty on the basis that they will be given a sentence with automatic early release at the halfway point. And the release is an automatic process. It doesn't even involve oversight of the parole board.
Yeah.
So, of course, you're going to plead guilty.
That's right. Having said that, though, the police would have been monitoring these people before they got arrested.
Yes.
So they would have known who they are. They would have records of their convictions.
Yep.
And my understanding is a lot of this data would have been provided to the prison service and the ministers say, look, X, Y, and Z are going to be released on this date. And yet nothing has taken place. And now people who've already been convicted of a crime are essentially looking at being not tried again, but just having extensions to their sentences for already being convicted of something. So it's like if you've already got 12 years, you could potentially get another 8-10 years on top of your conviction. I mean, is that fair? Is that going to keep us safer?
Well, see, that's the big question, right? Is it going to? Only time will tell. But if you look at the bigger picture here, and I'm going to take kind of a devil's advocate view here, and kind of understand where the government's coming from on this, is that given the option of continuing the early release program and letting these convicted terrorists, get released early, automatic parole, as it were, and we've seen the track record in the last several months of what's happened in those instances. Not everyone's going to do this, but there's been an awful history recently of what's happened.
Yeah.
So you would understand the government looking at this seriously and thinking, well, what can we do? There've been Cobra meetings and all sorts, right? What can we do here? And this is the obvious, I'm not going to use the word solution because we don't know yet, but this is the obvious step to take. So I can understand why they would do it. And in some ways, I kind of support it as well.
Yeah, but they're also, however, let me just add to that, but they're also not funding the prison service enough. If you look at the prison service, you have redundancies, there have people just quitting the job. Many, many years of experience has gone.
Yeah, true.
Because it's underfunded. So not only is it underfunded with prison guards, so the prison staff, etc., and experience, but also the people who are convicted of these crimes.
Yeah.
There's no real rehabilitation going on. If you look at some of the information and the undercover reporting and the people they've questioned who've come out from there, have said essentially these people are allowed to congregate together on their own wings and run their own version of prison themselves. There was a research done. I think it was the Met Police. They had Cambridge University involved, and they wanted to find out why Islam was growing so fast in prison. And one of the outcomes of this was that some of the people who were converting to Islam were doing so they felt safer in prison. So not necessarily believing in the faith.
No. But
just going along. Some reported it was forced. Some wasn't. It was to just feel safe in that environment. But what they learned from that survey that they done was these prisoners were allowed to do whatever they wanted, and there was no resources that was being put in to try and change their minds. Although that said, I think his name was Usman
correct
Khan, wasn't it?
Yes, Usman Khan,
right. So apparently he actually manipulated the system, if you for want of a better word, where he did go on some of these courses to try and de-radicalize himself. But you know what he did when he came out.
Yes. But there's another issue as well, right? I completely concur with what you've just said. But there's another issue is that a lot of radicalisation takes place within prisons as well. There is an element of that.
No doubt. I mean, that's what the mother of this boy that recently did his attack.
Yes.
She said that he was a normal boy and that he became radicalised online, but it became worse when he was in prison.
Yeah.
Because when he came out, he was a different person.
Yes.
So obviously a mother can tell.
Yeah, of course.
She can tell what the person's saying, what the demeanour is.
But you would expect prison to change you.
Yes.
You would expect that. Yeah. But to be radicalised within the prison environment is another issue, and I don't know what's being done to counter that.
Well, not a lot, to be honest. People are being USB clips and audios of these sheikhs, these so-called sheikhs, shall we say?
So-called, yeah.
And some of their manifestos and things are being passed around. Secure prisons.
Yeah.
As if they are trying to encourage the others, like you said. This is the way. I mean, I read an interview of a person who, he was in like county line drug gangs and so on.
Oh yes,
and
that's another huge growing problem.
It is. Yeah. But what he did was he ended up getting involved with a Somali gang.
Yeah.
Okay, and he realised that they were Muslim.
Yeah.
So in order to be on their best side, he became Muslim himself. So when he got convicted of his crime, he actually went to prison as a Muslim.
Right.
So he's a white British person. So he went to a fairly high security prison in the UK where he met fellow other Muslims. And what he said was that when it was time for Friday prayers, the local imam of that area would go to the masjid, the prison, to lead the Friday prayer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these convicted terrorists would walk in and they would essentially have their own version of Jummah prayer next to the other ones in the same room. But both parties didn't say anything to each other, but there was disdain from the convicts towards the other guys.
Oh.
And then they tried to manipulate him by giving him material information, say this is how you do things. And this is a huge problem.
It is a huge problem.
And I can't see how lengthening a prison sentence is going to help that.
Well, the thought behind it, right, the theory behind it is you are lengthening the prison sentence of a convicted, let's use the word terrorist, right? Let's not forget there were cases in Peterborough not long ago, right, where arrests were made. And I think there were a couple of young boys, young lads actually, that were arrested here. I forget the term that was used because unfortunately the Peterborough Telegraph website is letting me down, which is not a first. But excuse me, Peterborough Telegraph, but you really need to get this sorted out. There was a number of arrests, and in Peterborough, when the arrests were made and searches have been carried out, my point is that you can understand why the government would want to extend those sentences for those that have been convicted of terror-related offences, because those, in theory, are the most likely candidates that, when they're released, might, commit further crimes, and it's been proven to an extent.
To an extent, but isn't this kicking the can down the road?
Well, no, I don't think it is.
In a way that, not tackling, if de-radicalisation isn't working in prison, or enough resources aren't being put into prison service for whatever reason, isn't that essentially, it's not going to change their minds, is it? So you can put them in for 10, 15 years.
It won't change their minds, especially if they're already getting radicalised further in prison. That's just going to worsen.
Look, I buy your theory, which is that we're essentially, for the short to medium term, we're going to be safer. Okay.
Well, yeah,
to a degree, because they're all locked up.
I suppose.
Right? Okay. And so they can't come out and influence other people and do whatever they're going to do, right? And also, it's very visible from the incumbent government to say, well, look, we're handling this because this is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
But the underlying issue here is the Muslims. What are we? 4-5% of the whole of the UK population.
Yes.
Muslims in prison is 16% of the population in prison.
It is shockingly high.
It's shockingly high. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is, people can be easily influenced or easily led. If you've had a life of crime, or you need to feel safer in prison, you're going to latch on to people who you feel are potentially your brothers.
Yeah.
And look after you in prison. And surely they could twist your mind in that. So I guess what I'm saying to you is, if we don't tackle this from an education point of view, from an ideology point of view, then this is just going to carry on manifesting itself.
Well, it is. It definitely will, and that is happening. But the question for this show today is, will lengthening sentences help? That's essentially the question. And my answer to that is, I would hope so, and I suppose yes, because you are keeping dangerous people off the streets for longer.
Yeah.
But having said that, eventually when they do get released, they may even be further radicalised than they would be if they were early release.
Yes, that's right. And I want to pick you up on this early release. I've never really agreed with an early release.
No, who would?
If you've got a life sentence.
Yeah.
And the judge has to specify that you have to carry out this life sentence. I'm happy to be corrected. If you want to get in touch with the show, please call us on.
To get involved, call 01733 602 133. This is Salam Radio.
Yeah, do get involved. We'd love to hear your opinions. I know this is quite a interesting topic, and as you said, it's the news of the week essentially. So I'm sure there are people who are listening who have got a view on this. I know there are many people watching on Facebook at the moment. So if you've got a view on this, drop us a Facebook comment or WhatsApp, or give us a call. We'd love to have you on air, right?
That's right. Yeah. So my understanding is the judge has to specify, you have to carry out the full sentence in situations like that. But for terrorists, I was baffled to read. Some of them getting 12, 14 years. Usman Khan got 14 years.
He did, yeah.
Right. So he's come out halfway through, and some of the convictions some of these people have are very, very serious in nature. And to think they're going to come out halfway through and not be de-radicalized or have their belief systems even mellowed or and brought back into the community in a staggered way.
Yeah,
it's frightening.
It is frightening, and I think people have almost a right to be scared as to what's happened in recent months.
Yeah,
with the including the Whitemoor prison. I'm going to include that in the mix because
you should.
Yeah,
you should.
That was a terrorist attack.
Let's just have a look at them. Let's just go down a little bit into what's happened during the week. Then, so this guy comes out of prison. He's been watched by the police.
Yeah.
That's hence why they acted so swiftly, because he was being monitored.
He was being monitored.
A lot of the media outlets were saying, well, hold on, what's really surprising here is that this was in Streatham High Street. It wasn't in central London. It wasn't a high-value target. It seemed to be very random. Perhaps he knew that he was being watched. And to be fair, it does look like it was the attack of a man who was desperate. who just wanted to almost do it, and that was it, and he was done.
Yeah, and he knew his life would end.
Yeah,
without question.
Yeah. So it makes you think. I mean, some of these guys are that's all their MO is, isn't it? When they come out of prison, this is all they want to do.
Yeah,
is hurt someone, or we've had that guy Michael Abdulajay, I think his name was.
Yeah,
he's the one who killed Fusilier Lee Rigby.
Oh, that's right.
Right?
In
he's
Woolwich.
Woolwich.
Yeah.
He's become quite infamous in the prison system.
I'm sure he has.
So some of the research that I did was I found that a lot of the really long-serving convicts aspire to be or better what he's done.
Yeah,
which is a very, very frightening thought.
It's deeply troubling. I have to be honest. It really is, and he is idolised. People like him are idolised.
Yeah, and so I understand what you're saying. Giving them longer sentences, getting them to carry out, is it now 75% of that sentence? Now?
That's right.
Early release goes out the window.
So let me pose a question to you then. Is if, let's say, I'm sure there are people out there that will disagree that it's the right thing to do. They'll say that it's not fair. People have been convicted, and they've had a sentence given to them, and now that sentence is going to be extended, and there'll be people against it. But my question to them is, so what should the government do? Other than extending sentences of convicted terrorists, what's the alternative?
I don't think there's many. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm saying that is because, like I said, the funding. I mean, there was control orders, right?
Yeah,
and in 2011, control orders, which is a very restrictive regime, but extremely costly regime.
Of course.
I believe it was, so 2011, so where are we? The Tories have been in power since 2010, May 2010.
Yeah.
So we've had a Tory government for the last almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Right, so the Tory government come in, and they've essentially put a stop to control orders. My understanding of control orders were, essentially you're in a safe house, you're not allowed access to the internet.
Yeah.
You can't have certain, I don't know if you're allowed to have a mobile phone. You have a list of people you can, or you have authorized list of people you can and can't see.
Yeah.
There's so many other things you can do, but obviously due to austerity, I'm assuming, I'm happy to be corrected, that was taken out. Now, the control orders were effective, however, it was extremely resource intensive. So they had that option. Okay. The other option, like I've been saying as well already, is that it's the education route, it's the de-radicalization route, it's the people need to challenge these the ideologies. Are the families involved? You often find when convicts are in prison, one of the major factors in helping to change their mindset and changing their beliefs is their family.
Yeah, that plays a major part in it.
So are the families involved? Are all the services working?
You'd hope they are.
Yeah, but you kind of. But I guess what I'm saying is that the current system is not coordinated. It's not. All parties are not talking to each other.
But don't forget, brother, that some families don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, this is true. But I'm trying to think of it from a high level point of view.
Yeah.
Which is how we. Other than extending this sentence and saying, right, well, let's lock these bad guys up. We know who these bad guys are. And when they come out, they're going to do this anyway. But let's just deal with this 10, 15 years from now. Maybe by then they might have changed their mind. But so far, that hasn't happened.
No, but surely it needs time, doesn't it?
It does. But what I'm saying is I can't think of anything alternative other than some of the things that we already know. I mean, the other options would be to send some of these people back to their own countries, but we're not going to do that unless they aren't British people, and that does happen.
Yeah, you're sounding very right wing right now.
I'm not right wing.
Deport them. I mean, to be honest, that's a typical Facebook comment that you'll get. I mean, there was a story in the Peterborough Telegraph about I don't know if he's practicing Muslim, clearly not because of what he was doing, but he was digressing for a second. He was attempting to meet a 12-year-old, what he thought was a 12-year-old.
Oh, yes, I recall.
And that was in the press a day or two ago. And the comments in there, once again, the wonderful Peterborough people, by and large, are wonderful, but I'm being sarcastic. Majority of the comments, deport him.
Because that's like the easy thing to do.
It's the easy thing to do, but it's not the easy thing to do. And for all we know, he may have well been British.
Correct, yeah. I mean, we'd love to hear your opinions. Please get involved. You can text the show on.
Text or WhatsApp 07745 278 978. This is Salam Radio.
Look, clearly there's no easy solution to this.
No.
Because somebody would have come up with it by now.
But I think, honestly, and it pains me to say it, but I think the government may have chosen a right decision here. I'm not using the word solution because we don't know yet.
Yeah, that's right. However, they need to back this up by putting more resources into the whole of the prison system. I mean, at the moment, we're looking at a £900 million bill for just maintenance of costs.
Absolutely.
Then we're looking at an £11 billion bill for more prisons and updating the prison system. Because at the end of the day, we want the people who've been convicted of a crime to be rehabilitated. We want them to come back out and be take part in society again, become active members, proactive members, positive members of society, and give back to this country. Well, they've had a second chance to rebuild their life. What we don't want is people to go into the prison system for whatever crime they've already committed, and then come back, feeling like, okay, well, now I've got this black book of should we say underground trade secrets, and this is how I'm going to operate. And unfortunately, we are there in many cases.
No, we are. But you know what? I think we need to add this. I know we don't have too much time left for this first topic, but I think we need to add into the mix here that there are statistics which show that there has been cases of rehabilitation in the prison service, and people have come out and they're now helping others to challenge their extremist views, their fundamentalist views, their Islamist views. And I'm not a fan of the word Islamist. There are success stories, but they are unfortunately few and far between, and stats will show that.
Yeah.
So
our Prime Minister said it.
Exactly. Our Prime Minister, he did say that. Absolutely. Sorry.
First time I've actually said that.
Yes. It seems strange saying that. You know where I'm coming from.
Oh, Boris, we'll come for a show with you soon. Don't worry.
Yes, that'll be interesting. So look, I just hope time will prove that this is a wise decision. But then again, how do you know if it's going to work or not? I suppose the only way we can almost guarantee ourselves that it will work, because those convicted terrorists are still behind bars, so they can't literally go out there and cause damage to the public.
Yeah.
So in terms of time, we don't need to wait for that.
Yes.
But there will be a time when they will be released,
Yeah.
and obviously much further down the line, of 5-10 years from now, whatever. Is it going to put a stop to it? Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, well, like you said, time will tell. But the other thing to talk about here is that a lot of these prisoners who've committed these crimes are actually serving time altogether.
Yes, they are.
And I did read a report about how there's been an effort to try and split them into different prisons. There is fear that the ideology may spread in other prisons. But at the same time, having people who believe in this sort of ideology, clearly having them all together surely must be just an echo chamber, a reinforcement of what they want to do when they come out.
Yeah.
So I actually do feel that they should be separated into the, again, maximum prisons, but however, around the UK, so they can be with other people or other mindsets to try and see life differently.
Yes.
Rather than just going through the same thing over and over again, and then having people like Osman Khan come out and do what he did.
Yeah, I see. I take that point on board. Actually, that makes good sense. I think the biggest problem here, and you've reiterated this twice now, is the cuts to the prison service, or whatever it's called these days. Huge cuts, huge lack of budgets for proper resource-intensive rehabilitation, like the control orders thing.
Yes, that's right.
And that did help pretty significantly. Stats will show us that, and have shown us that. But money's everything, right? In these,
it is.
It is, unfortunately. And when there is austerity and when there is cuts made by the government, and it affects us that badly, us the public, because of our safety, what do?
We do. I like where we're leaving this. We're essentially leaving this with, what's the price for our safety? How much are we willing to pay? How much is the government willing to spend to keep us safe on Britain's streets? I mean, something to ponder over, isn't it, in the time of austerity? Okay, well, listen, thanks very much for that. We're heading towards a break now. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amir Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amir Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
There's a million choices available for dining out in Leeds.
But if you want something special, there's only one name to remember.
Mumtaz Leeds.
Relax in our newly refurbished Riverside restaurant.
Enjoy exquisite home cooking from our brand new menu. Upgrade to the Mumtaz Leeds experience.
And the price? Well, we're better value than ever before.
Mumtaz Leeds, Chadwick Street, Leeds, LS10 1PJ. Call 0113 242 4211.
Free car parking available.
कोई रत्ती कमीज़ानी लबाना मारे मामा मिठिया में चीज़ानी।
मेरा नाम मुकद्दस है और कोट मेरा घर है और ये मेरे लिए किसी जन्नत से कम नहीं। हमारे भी कुछ ख्वाब हैं जिनकी ताबीर को हमें पाना है।
आइए इन बच्चों के ताबनाक मुस्तकबिल के लिए अपना हिस्सा डालिए। अपनी ज़कात, सदकात, खैरात और इमदाद कोट को दीजिए।
UK number 0300 123 7774. Website court.org.uk.
Almirad Tiles. With over 70 stores nationwide, we are now open in Peterborough. Up to 50% discount offers now on. Largest selection of tiles. Full bathroom suites from only £189. Paint, LED lighting, laminate flooring from only £7.99. Over 1,000 designs of wallpaper in stock. We have everything you need. Come and visit us at 193 Fengate, Peterborough, PE1 5BH, or call us on 01733 34 58 47. Almirad Tiles, now open.
In the mood for some authentic Desi food? Try Desi Restaurant on Lincoln Road. Start your day right with our Desi breakfast every day from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Halva puri, channa, nihari, paya, paratha and omelette. Need a tasty lunch? Every day 1 to 4 p.m. we've got fast food, pizzas, kebab sandwiches, tandoori dishes, balti dishes, biryanis and much more. We're also open every evening 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. Try our Desi Tawa special or our fresh handi, 1 kg chicken or lamb on the bone, cooked to order. Eat in, take away or free delivery. Visit desirestaurant.co.uk to view the full menu and order online. 60-seat capacity and a private function room. Catering service also available. Desi Restaurant, 298 Lincoln Road, Peterborough, PE1 2ND. Call us now on 555 795.
If you want to learn about Islam and Muslims, stay tuned to Salam Radio 106.2 FM.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Let's Talk, your monthly current affairs show with me, Akeel Khalil, and Amir Suleiman.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. You are listening to 106.2 FM, and we're online at salamradio.co.uk and also online or live in Spire FM. Brother, did you just show me something?
Yeah, I was basically trying to intimate to you that I have some comments I'd like to read.
Oh, okay, great. I was thinking, what are you doing?
Which clearly threw you.
It did.
Okay, before we move on to the next topic, I thought it would make sense to read those topics. So, Sister Severine, thank you for listening, Sister, our very own from the Immigration Hour, of course. She said in her line of work, she came across a few clients who told her that they pretended to be Muslims for obvious reasons, one would guess.
Wow.
Yeah. Joe Hosted is saying maybe we should be spending the money allocated to longer sentences on better rehabilitation processes while in prison.
Totally agree with you there, Joe.
Absolutely. Spot on. Brother Fessel says easy solution is harsher punishments and deterrence. Education and culturing is needed for society to move away from freedom of the individual more towards the rights of society. For example, ban content online which corrupts the minds of individuals.
Oh, very good, actually.
That's a very good point.
You also, Brother Faisal, have my vote for prison minister now.
Well, he'll be encroaching on Brother Muzaffar's toes. We don't want that to happen.
We don't.
No. Jazakallah for listening. And please keep those comments coming in for our next topic, brother, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So, next topic, completely different. data over the last week or so has been released by the ONS, and essentially it's us Brits, we're saying we're significantly less satisfied with life. Last year, anxiety about job security and economy as ahead of Brexit has taken its toll. So the question I was going to ask tonight is British life. Are we really surprised that we're feeling sad, we're feeling anxiety about the way things are going, or is this a reality of life now?
Well, this was the Office of National Statistics survey, wasn't it? It's
yes.
Data, so it's a trusted source.
Yeah.
But it's not a surprise to read this sort of news, bro. I don't think, because there's been a lot. If you look at the general things that have been happening in the last 2 to 3 years, it's not been great.
No,
it's not been great. We've had major high street chains closed down. You've had the whole Brexit debacle going on, and I use that word very, very carefully. General, just. I think the anxiety generally is on the increase.
Yeah,
anyway.
Let's just drill down on this. I mean, let's look at this. For example, we had the financial crash. The economy's recovered, definitely recovered from when that happened, but we've had jitters in the job market.
Yes, we have.
Over the last 10 years, we've had 0-hour contracts.
Yeah,
something that never existed before, did it?
No, it's terrible.
It's terrible. And however, that said, we've had a boom in the gig economy.
Yes.
Right. So I guess for some people it's worked, and for some people it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
The unions more often than not are saying it hasn't worked purely because of the quid pro quo for the amount of time that you are now spending doing a job, essentially unpaid versus having time with your family. So you have this. So there are many things to go through. But let's go through what you mentioned just there about businesses closing down. So we're talking about high street chains here.
Yeah, I mean household names from when we were growing up, Debenhams and what was the other one just recently?
Well, let's take Peterborough for example.
Oh,
Toys R Us.
Oh, Toys R Us,
just across the road.
Yeah.
So Beals, like you've just said. So we're talking about department stores here, aren't we?
Yes, yeah.
And so that feeling of, I recall when Woolworths first went into administration.
I remember that.
And it just felt like an end, the end of an era, and suddenly that's kind of dominoed in many areas.
Well, it has.
There are really big chains, and even House of Fraser at the moment is going through some sort of restructuring. So we have 10 million people essentially have been surveyed, and they were talking about the economy being one of the reasons why they're feeling unhappy. I guess one of the ways that's potentially been looked at is job security.
It's a huge issue, and I think that goes hand in hand with anxiety as well. And I think there's two reasons, because job security is a big issue. Gone are the days job for life. We know that, right?
Yeah.
For years that's gone.
Yeah.
No longer does that exist. But I think the anxiety comes from the fact that two reasons. One, that you might lose your job, but two, that statistically most households are one salary away from not being able to fend for themselves.
Yeah.
It's literally one salary. So some 1 month. Yeah, 1 month. Yeah. Some are living hand to mouth.
Yes.
Some are like 1 month.
Yes.
And that's it. So if they lost their job, they could survive for that month. And then when the next salary doesn't come in, what do? They can't pay the mortgage. They can't do their shopping. They can't put petrol in the car. And of course, universal credit is not something that will help them in the short term, because it takes so long to get your money.
That's right. And having done food bank with you,
yes,
at a local mosque, one thing that we both experienced, and certainly something that I came across, was there were many people who were doing well. Okay, they had a decent job, and suddenly they found themselves in a situation where they lost a job and they had nothing to fall back on.
Yeah.
And we also had people who were working but weren't earning enough to put food on the table because of all of the other outgoings. So yeah, I take that on board. Finances, whether you're worried about paying your bills, whether you're thinking about just the future, i.e. how am I going to get on the property ladder, how am I going to get this, how am I going to provide for my children as they get older. And recently I was having a conversation incidentally with a family member who was saying to me that he knows people who've been so heavily reliant on the tax credit system, that their children now come into a stage where they're going to be old enough to no longer qualify for this.
Of course.
And they are now they're worried about, okay, so how are we going to pay this now? Because they've been so dependent. Now they start thinking about, okay, we need to find a job.
Yeah.
There must be a lot of people out there like that.
There must be numerous families in Peterborough alone that are in that situation. And just going back to the anxiety thing again, because, I talked about the fear of losing your job, but anxiety doesn't just come from that. Anxiety and how you'd survive afterwards. But the anxiety also comes from, having read on this, the wish to want to keep your job and what you need to do to go over and above the call of duty to be seen as a valued employee.
Yes.
But the term valued employee, it seems to be dissipating day by day.
Yes.
Within not just the corporate culture, but even in like retail or whatever.
Yes.
There doesn't seem to be a great deal an employee can do to be seen as indispensable.
Yes, that's right. And I suppose in many ways the only thing the employee thinks of in a situation like that is thinking, okay, well, how much time can I stay here? How much more can I do?
Yeah.
So when they're getting paid for 8 hours, they may be there for 10, or they are trying to do as much overtime as they can do.
You're absolutely right, and that's a growing issue, is presenteeism, which is a word that I only learned about a year ago, where people don't have anything to do, especially in the corporate world. They have nothing to do at their desks, but they just turn up just so the boss sees them in the office.
Yeah.
And they sit there for long hours just so they appear to be working. Presenteeism is a growing problem. And you know why? Because people don't want to lose their jobs.
That's right.
And if you're not seen, if you're not visible, then there's a risk that, okay, well, if I'm not seen, then they'll think I'm not needed, kind of thing. And almost that individual will think that their input to the organisation is also not visible. And there's a real danger of that, and it's a trap, and I've seen it happen, and it's terrible.
You make a really, really good point. I would love to hear from anyone listening who's either experienced this or know of someone who's going through it, or potentially something your employer has said to you. This is how you get in touch.
To get involved, call 01733 602 133. This is Salam Radio.
I often think about people I've worked with in my previous role. There were definitely a couple of people who were doing that, riding that wave.
Really?
We're just turning up and doing the bare minimum, but just doing enough to be seen to be doing enough of a job. So, I didn't...
There's a skill in that as well,
There is.
There is a real skill to be getting away with the bare minimum and seen to be adding value. So that lends itself to the whole anxiety thing. And I said anxiety is on the increase, and especially in our youth,
Yes, this is true.
Have you noticed that?
Yes, but that's for many reasons. I suppose you can actually add jobs into that, because a lot of our young people are now coming out with degrees, 65,000 pound debt.
Yeah.
Struggling to get a job,
of course,
or getting a job relating to their degree.
Yeah, that's proving very, very difficult now.
And we've done this on Let's Talk previously over the years. We're talking about nepotism. People who are going to get a chance to, they don't have to worry about getting a job.
No,
you know the right person. You're going to go into an organisation. Yes, your degree will open the secondary door, but the initial door will be opened by somebody else.
Yeah, it's almost like it rings a bell where somebody will employ their best friend in an organisation, for example.
Right, or like a president of the United States of America, who would give a job to his daughter, Ivanka Trump, with zero qualifications.
Exactly.
But okay, thanks for that.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It was relevant.
Yeah. Very good. Okay,
but there's a lot to be down about, bro. And I you know me, I'm generally a very positive guy.
Are you?
You know I am.
Okay.
But there is a lot that can get a person down if you let it get to you.
Absolutely.
So I suppose part of this conversation should be is, how do you overcome that doom and gloom?
Yes, I agree with you. I mean, look, if you look at it, when you look at the news, and certainly, you hear about the economy a lot. Since 2014, when the whole Brexit debate started, then we voted out. There is a serious belief by millions of people in this country that the economy is going to fail once we completely, because at the moment we're living by the EU rules because we haven't completely left.
That's right.
And we're still living by that. But once we leave that, and whether or not we're going to get a trade deal or not. So we have long-term economy issues, and now we've had the whole thing with the coronavirus. The coronavirus, and if we just take the health epidemic to one side and its effect on humanity. Okay. So, and this is very specific what I want to say here. If we just look at this from a Chinese economy point of view and Hong Kong's economy point of view, it's decimated them. It's completely stalled them.
Of course it has.
If you look at some of the markets inside Hong Kong now, they're bare.
Yeah.
people have got money, but they can't get goods.
Yeah.
Nothing's coming in, nothing's going out.
No.
Okay, so we're living in a really globalized world. When we see one part of the world being affected, especially China, which is producing almost everything for everyone,
Yes.
it's slowing things down. But for us, we're being told we're going to get, Liam Fox, he said as soon as we, Brexit, immediately we're going to get a whole lot of deals. It hasn't happened. But the point being is people buy into this. And when it doesn't happen, again, this plays into the whole anxiety, fears. And I totally get that.
I get that as well.
I mean, you are right. We are looking at this from a monetary point of view. What can we do as individuals? What can we do as individuals to make ourselves feel a bit better? So often people do is they'll go and buy something new, won't they?
Yeah.
They'll say, okay, well, you know what, I'll do next year to, I've done okay this year. I'll buy myself a new car, or I'll buy this and that. But actually, the data shows we've stopped buying new cars. There's been a real slowdown in buying new cars.
That's right.
And other things. So this fear, this anxiety, this belief, this sadness, this that we're feeling has certainly resulted in us holding back.
Well, it's a lack of consumer confidence. That's what the issue is, among other things. And it all goes back to that fundamental point where it all stems from, which is that the outlook that we have now, because there is a lot to make us think about what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. We think about our kids, those that have children. We think what's going to be like for them in 10 years when they're young adults or whatever. And there is a lot to be concerned about, and it is worrying, it is troubling. But our faith teaches us, of course, to pray and to overcome those worries through our faith, through our deen. But not everyone has deen. Not everyone has faith, or it's not strong enough to get them through that. So the point I was making is that the way to personally, and I know you're the same, to overcome these challenges and these thoughts and fears for the future is through our faith. And I think that's something more of us should do, because there's no purer way to overcome the negative mind games that go on in your head as to what worrying is terrible, right? It's a curse, it's horrible. Some people really suffer from it and others can deal with it quite well. Alhamdulillah, I think I'm not really a born worrier, right? And that's something I've always been able to get a handle on, because I always feel that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best planner, and whatever happens is in your fate, and it's in your hands. So you just pray. And I know you feel the same way. But other than that, so those that don't have faith in their life, whatever faith it may be, they might be atheist, if I can say it, or agnostic or whatever, they could also go for, because it is mental health at the end of the day, this anxiety, and they could go for help. But my point is this, brother, is that you could go for help, and I'm sure it is worth it, whatever process it is that you have to go through, and it will help you, and talking about it is good. I think it was Time to Talk Day yesterday or today, I think National Time to Talk Day. I think it was an important day today in the workplace. So there's no better time to do it. But the point is, there's so much negativity out there. I'm not just talking about in the news, just generally you see this firm going into liquidation, store closures, job losses, what the impact of Brexit will be. Think about those people, the Polish, for example, some Polish people that have had to go back. As it doesn't just affect us Brits, in quotes, but it affects everyone that is in this country at the moment.
Yes.
And there's a lot to contend with.
It is. And I'm going to look at it from a slightly different angle. Do you feel, I think the government has a part to play. A government affects mood. I think if the government is going to invest heavily in the UK, whether that's in infrastructure, whether that's in privatizations of some of our national services, so that we can bring them up to scratch, so potentially create more jobs, and so on and so forth. I think the government has a role to play, and as individuals I think we do too. I think if we want to have a society where we feel happier, then we need to be part of that conversation. I think too many of us are living in silos and not talking to each other enough, and that is affected in our day-to-day lives. It affects our work environments. A lot of the big companies that we deal with will do HR drives and they'll do team building, but that's not everywhere. It's not universal.
No.
Do you think something like this would be a government initiative to encourage companies to do that, like they've done with forcing them to do pensions? Do you think the government should play its role by saying, right, every single company should have a policy or in place where their employees' well-being is part of that conversation in their contract, or whether they do what they do?
That would be refreshing, but it's sad to say highly unlikely, I think, that the government would do that, because what we're effectively talking about here is the work-life balance.
Mhm.
And I think that's another huge issue why people are so down in the dumps. I know I'm generalizing, but just generally the sense, and ONS data doesn't lie, right? There was 320,000 people that were surveyed across the UK, all sorts of households, people with kids, without kids, different ethnicities, religions, and it was a real cross-section of population in the UK. But this whole work-life balance thing, some people, we're blessed to be able to have a bit of time to volunteer for Salam Radio,
Yeah.
to volunteer at the mosque, to do other community-based initiatives and things like this, as well as doing the day job. And we have that blessing. Although we do make time to do those things. And I think if you've got more in your life than just work and then going home for the same usual routine and rigmarole and then 5 days a week doing that and then the weekend the usual thing, I think you need to vary your life.
Yes.
I think you need variety. And I know not everyone can do it because they literally have a 9 to 5 or a 12-hour shift, sometimes even longer. It depends on your work. But if you have, even at the weekend, an hour or two free, I honestly think, and I can speak from experience, that volunteering and doing something which is rewarding, doing something which is for the needy, doing something which you can see a direct impact on your time to give to someone, I think is a hugely therapeutic thing.
I totally agree with you.
I just think that's something people can do.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and then you're effectively being the change you want to see, aren't you?
Yes, you are.
know? And we've seen this many times. In the things that we've done locally, and we see others doing. We have a lot of partners for the radio station.
Yeah,
and we also have other people that come and tell their stories on various of our different shows about what they're doing for the community.
Yeah,
and you're right. I mean, that will certainly help your own mental health. You'll feel like you're giving back,
but it's the rewarding element for me personally.
Yes,
this obviously is going to be different for everyone
Yeah.
else, but the rewarding element is that you are giving back, but you can sometimes, I've helped individuals, we've all helped individuals who are suffering, and when you see just a bit of a smile crack on their face or the sign of appreciation, it just makes it all worthwhile. And for me, we help our family members, right? But sometimes we can help others
Definitely.
outside our family.
Yeah, and as Muslims, this is what we're supposed to do.
Of course we are.
It is more than, it starts with the family, but it certainly, extends, doesn't it?
It doesn't need to stop there.
No, of course it doesn't.
If your family are well, food in their belly, shelter, health, and you're doing all right, then any time you do have, you don't necessarily need to spend it or give it to your family. If they're okay, they're doing all right now, give that time to someone who needs it.
Yeah.
Or a group that needs it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, looking back at, looking at this article from a high level point of view, most of it was factored around finances.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, as much as we all need resources to be able to provide for our families and have daily functions and so on and so forth. But like you mentioned earlier on, what goes hand in hand with that is, for us especially, is our faith.
Yeah.
But the other things that we're involved in, I do feel that not enough of us do that. And I think, but the thing is, it's not that we're not capable of it.
Exactly.
Sometimes we need someone to sit down and have that conversation with us and get involved. Don't be afraid of getting involved in a volunteer organisation.
Yeah.
There's so many volunteer organisations in Peterborough, like from the the soup kitchen to local charities to people doing all kinds of things with the homeless. Have that conversation, go and meet people and see what change and benefit you can give to your local community.
Yeah.
But from this, talking about the fears, I think Labour at one point, I'm going to say this, they had a few good ideas in their manifesto about the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Or should we say the living wage?
The living wage.
So from a financial point of view, what they wanted to do, I can understand how they wanted to lift people. Because we've had austerity for a long time.
Long time.
So I think that's been a big factor. You can say Brexit and you can say jobs and so on and so forth, but deep cuts happen after the financial crisis.
Yeah.
You only have to look at the welfare system and what's happened there.
Yes.
I think from a national point of view, the government needs to be looking at the well-being of. I mean, at the end of the day, if they're not going to look at the well-being of the people, the workforce,
right,
a lot of people could potentially end up claiming more.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I totally get that. That's the danger. I'm just reminded of a film, actually, right, which I've seen recently. It's if you're familiar with the director Ken Loach, amazing director, British director, and he did I, Daniel Blake, which was about the benefit system, and now he's just his latest film is called Sorry We Missed You, and it's about the 0 hours contract thing.
Okay.
And the reason I mention this is because not everyone's into their news, not everyone's into reading articles, not everyone's into researching for a radio show because they haven't got a show. But the point is that if you need a way to kind of see the most brutal, it's as close to a documentary as you'll get, but it is a movie, what it's like for an average family trying to make ends meet in the UK through austerity times. This is a movie that you must check out. Sorry We Missed You is it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, and I was you know what's going on. You know people are struggling, but when you see it dramatized, it brings it to life. Unless you've seen it firsthand, it brings it to life. And unless you've suffered yourself, you won't really know. But I implore you to watch it because it doesn't matter what political affiliation you have, whether you're Tory or you're Labour or you're Lib Dem or whatever it might be. Watch the movie, and that's a recommendation from me personally. And just make yourself realise just how hard some people have it. And then it will also, from a faith perspective, make you realise how blessed you are. Inshallah, if you are blessed. Because everyone's going through difficult times and got their own problems. We've kind of digressed on this. It's gone quite deep.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, that's the purpose of the show at the end of the day. But I mean, sometimes it takes for someone to watch something like that.
It does.
To get some fire in their own belly.
Exactly.
And then go make a change.
That's my point.
That's my point. And one thing I will say from my own life experience as well is that, you can go through tough times.
Yeah, we all do.
But we all do, of course. If you're still standing, you can still get up the next day and carry on. You can still make a difference in your life. You can still change course.
Yes.
And there are a lot of really strong people out there, and sometimes they just need to feel valued, or they need that reminder, or they need to see something to reignite that fire within themselves.
Yeah.
So they can either rebuild or go and achieve that goal they've left for so long.
Yeah, Joe Hosted has just messaged in. He says, in work poverty, in quotes, in work poverty is a huge problem in the UK where your income falls below the minimum resources you need. What an awful, awful trap to be in.
He's spot on, and this is what I said at the beginning of this topic, or a little bit early, sorry. This is what happened in the food bank.
Indeed.
There were people who were working but still needed to use the food bank.
Yeah.
And it staggered me.
Yeah, because they were told working you'd be better off.
Yeah.
But there were instances, I remember many times where I would talk to these, we called them clients, because they were clients, food bank clients, and their stories would differ hugely. But you'd have some who were addicted to heroin, you'd have some who were, in quotes, decent people, not on drugs, not living a life of crime, trying to make ends meet. And they were told, get a job, you'd be better off. But because of the fact that they were working, they were actually worse off. So in that respect, I remember thinking, well, actually, some people might actually be better off on benefits, despite the government telling them, go out there and get a job. And people were better off on benefits in some respects, but depending on their personal circumstances. But it's terrible, and it does make you realise, if you've never worked in a food bank, there are many of them, unfortunately, still. And they're always looking for opportunities for volunteers, and that's something I would implore you to get involved in, because it will just open your eyes.
It really would. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it really hit home.
It does.
What really got to me was the varying, different stories that people were telling us.
Yes.
Some people had just lost their job.
That's right.
Some people they had really good careers, really long careers, and they just went. So I kind of get it.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but I still believe that the government has a role to play at some point. However, we as individuals have our own responsibilities to ourselves and be able to make that change. But the government definitely has a role to play here. This country is far too wealthy to have so many people sleeping rough on the streets across the UK for us to even have food banks.
Of course.
Well, let's see what happens. The Brexit course has been set.
Indeed.
We've left on last month.
Yep.
And we just need to get that trade deal that we've been promised. I'm hopeful. I'm genuinely hopeful that it does happen.
That's all we can do.
And maybe we will have a turbulent 12 months, but what comes out of it could be a potential, amazing thing for the future of this UK. But listen, thanks very much for your company, Brother Ahmed. And thanks again for listening. I hope everyone has a great weekend. We'll see you next month. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
It doesn't take much to bring some difference. You give some change, which makes a change. because nothing gets mileage like a charity.